Okay, now without further ado, let's begin. Okay, let's begin today's session, right? So, anyway, right. Before we begin, I always need to share with you guys a disclaimer that this webinar is purely educational in nature, right? So nothing covered in this webinar should be construed as investment advice and trading advice. So please, do your own little due diligence before you start trading, especially the world of crypto, the world of CFDs, right? Very high risk, right? So yes, always do your own due diligence before you trade. All right, guys. Now, if you're for those of you who are just tuning in, I encourage you to send your messages throughout the webinar. I literally have another screen that is open here, monitoring your questions that are coming through. Right. So yeah, just take a chance to send it through. Otherwise, I'm afraid that we might not have time to touch on these questions towards the end of the webinar. Right. So yeah, so just don't worry. Okay, just send your questions through. All right. Now, guys, first and foremost, right, introducing your host for today. My name is Desmond Leong. You guys might have seen me around. I write a lot of the research and analysis for Tickmill, on the Tickmill blog, right? Some things, I guess, worth, where's my handy dandy pen? Yeah. Yes. Some things are just a really short introduction of me, right? I run the award-winning research firm, Everest Fortune Group, and also the Forex Army, right? So we are finalists for 2019, 2020, and 2021 for best FX and equity research. So, our team, we have a pretty strong team of CFA, CMT, and CFTE accredited traders, right? And usually we regularly advise banks, brokers, and hedge funds. We have a special partnership with Tickmill where we try to bring you the institutional grade research, the institutional grade education, to help you navigate the markets better, right? So yeah, I do some crazy indicators and EAs over at the Forex Army. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, can check out Comfy Desmond. Nothing interesting there, right? It's mainly me and my cat, and me playing FIFA, right? Not much of that kind of, the kind of what we call Instagram traders, where it's Lamborghinis and stuff. It's a very chill place, right? So yeah, for those of you guys who want to check it out. Anyway, right, without further ado, let me share with you what's the agenda for today, right? So our agenda for today is, we're going to cover, firstly, what is cryptocurrency, right? Right, I can see Aruna already sending in a question, right? Whether Bitcoin currently has a bounce trap on, and whether we think 40K, is a bear trap. We'll take a look at it. Hopefully, we can maybe throughout the webinar or towards the end of the webinar, where I got my charts prepared to share with you actually how do you trade Bitcoin and what affects the price of Bitcoin, right? So hopefully you get time to look at that. Right. For those of you guys who have been following the Tickmill blog, right, we did call the bounce right above the 30K level. So if you got in on that, it's awesome, right? If not, there are plenty of opportunities, right? Plenty of opportunities, right? But in today's webinar, what we're going to cover is, what exactly is cryptocurrency? What exactly is Bitcoin, right? We touched a little bit on Bitcoin mining, right? Because it traditionally is a pretty popular question, right? What is Bitcoin mining? What is the halving? When the rewards get cut by half, right? What is it profitable? We as traders, always looking for ways to make money when it comes to trading, right? So, is Bitcoin mining profitable? Right. And of course, we look at some ways we can trade Bitcoin, right? Everyone knows we can trade Bitcoin on the crypto exchanges, but we will take a look at trading Bitcoin on Tickmill later. Okay. But anyway, I just want to share with you really quickly on what is cryptocurrency. The definitions you get out there more often than not, it leaves you with a little bit more questions than you started, right? So sometimes, cryptocurrency, you go on Google and you're like, okay, what is cryptocurrency? And they're like, okay, it's cryptography, it's decentralized blockchain, right? And you're like, what in the world did I just read, right? So today, I just take a little bit of time to explain to you So I'll take a little bit of time to explain to you on what cryptocurrency is. We got a question coming in from Janu saying that the topic is cryptocurrency. Agenda seems to be focused quite a bit on Bitcoin, right? So he's asking, are you saying it's the same rules, features, and risks that are related to other cryptocurrencies, right? So as you can see over here, what is cryptocurrency? We don't just zoom in on the Bitcoin. Right, we don't just zoom in on Bitcoin. We have Ethereum, we got Litecoin, we got Doge. Okay, they're not Doge, right? But we can add probably Dogecoin here or something. A Bitcoin hash, right? But essentially, it is Bitcoin is just one of the cryptocurrencies. It is the most popular cryptocurrency, right? But that is not to say that there are not other cryptocurrencies around, right? So a lot of what applies to Bitcoin, understanding how Bitcoin comes about, the logic behind it, the way it is mined, it is equally applicable, to Litecoin, is equally applicable to Ethereum and Dash, right? So yeah, I'm just making reference to Bitcoin as more or less the leader. There are a lot of different altcoins out there, and there are some really, really exotic ways to trade them. I mean, if you dive deep enough, you see there are a lot of pump and dump kind of schemes out there, a lot of fake celebrity endorsements that try to push up the popularity and price of different altcoins, right? And in some way, I'm not sure if you guys have actually seen penny stocks before. One of the penny stocks were very notorious in the past for penny stocks were very notorious in the past for stuff like pump and dump, right? So in some sense, all the many altcoins out there, all the different ICOs, it being so easy to create like different kind of cryptocurrencies has made it actually very, very dangerous. Where this pump and dump scheme is super now is super prevalent, seen everywhere. And the worst thing is that because of how there isn't really that strong a regulation monitoring this kind of cryptocurrencies, especially the smaller altcoins, people can easily get away with it, right? But and that is why in this case today we're actually focusing on the slightly larger cap cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dash, in some sense even Doge, right? And yeah, so we are looking at the functionality, how it's created, right, and what kind of gives it value, right? Because a lot of people out there, when it comes to trading crypto, we kind of just treat it as like any other commodity, any other instrument to be traded, right? Today's session, hopefully in further sessions, right, we'll look at really not only the appreciation of crypto, but what drives its value, from a fundamental perspective, what drives its value from a technical perspective, and how we can kind of play the fluctuations, how we can play the big moves, how we can, stay out of getting caught on the wrong side of Elon Musk, kind of announcements, right? It's an exciting space, right? It's growing in huge popularity, and hence, today's webinar, right? So first and foremost, cryptocurrencies. Yeah, and anyway, thanks for that question, Janus, right? So first and foremost, the big question, right? What is cryptocurrency? First thing that I want to focus on is that it's kind of it's like digital or virtual currencies that is secured by cryptography, right? Cryptography. So the important thing is that cryptography, it makes it hard to be counterfeited, right? So, people always first thing come in and say, okay, before you start throwing out those big jargons here and there, what exactly is cryptography, right? Essentially, in a nutshell, cryptography, right? It's a matter of kind of protecting your information and communications through the use of code, right? So it makes it very, very hard for people to reverse engineer and kind of break it. So it's like a super duper secure system, right? So a large part of cryptocurrency is based on cryptography. So it makes it very hard, to be counterfeited, very hard to this very, very important term like, being able to double spend, right? And important thing that we want to take note of is that it's also decentralized network. A lot of people, are saying, okay, every time you see cryptocurrency, it goes hand in hand with decentralized, it goes hand in hand with the word blockchain. So the key question that comes in is, wait, what is blockchain, right? Can you explain blockchain to me? In a very very simple form. Can you explain blockchain to me that I don't get lost within the first five, the first five words, right? All you need to know about blockchain is that it's a specific type of database. It's just like putting multiple, where's my mouse, right? Multiple blocks together, right? That's why actually for those of you guys who read the white paper, I read the white paper on Bitcoin, right? There was actually no mention of blockchain. There was no mention of blockchain. Instead, it will instead the closest it actually went to was what we call a chain of blocks, right? So that's the closest to actually the mention of blockchain, right? But it's basically is most of the time it's kind of used for leisure of of transactions, right? The important thing, right? The important reason why we're using blockchain is that we don't want a single person or group to have control over it. What does this mean? Okay, who remembers what the Britannica was? Who actually owned one of these encyclopedias, right? I'm curious, right? Within our audience over here, who and this gives me an idea of which generations we come from, who actually owned one of these encyclopedias before. Who owned it, who didn't own it. Maybe you can, if you can share with me, right? Kind of give me an idea on am I the only guy over here who actually owned an encyclopedia? Janus, yeah, he has one. Roshan is yeah, Roshan, I can see you raising your hand. Don't worry. Oh, you're raising your hand because you're answering. Okay, no worries. I can see the people who raise their hands over here, right? Okay. Yeah. Okay. A couple of you guys do own an encyclopedia. So Britannica, right? Britannica, at one point of time, they employed over 100 writers, right? 100 writers, or was it 1,000 writers? And all they did was they try to consolidate the world's information, right? And you can see how that is very dangerous. Because Britannica, in that sense, you're like a centralized exchange. You're like a centralized database, and you control all the information that is kind of going out, right? So it is very easy to be manipulated if you think about it, right? Some guy in Britannica is like, Donald Trump. Okay, what shall we put in this little section on Donald Trump, right? Was he a great guy? Was he a bad guy? Was he a crazy guy? Right? It's up to them to control it, right? So the problem with that, right? And that's just one topic. You imagine a world of Wikipedia where there's like a freaking million, different topics out there, right? If it's all controlled by a single company like Britannica, it's very dangerous because it's, can be easily manipulated, right? There, you can given enough power, right? Or, given enough motivation, you can do crazy stuff with it. Right, and that's why Wikipedia is an example of what we call a decentralized exchange, a decentralized database, right, where there are multiple people adding in their inputs into Wikipedia. Right, this is not the best. Okay, this is actually a pretty good example of what we call by centralized and decentralized. Right, centralized, the dangers of something being centralized is that everyone can control it. No, it's like there's a single person, a single company can control it, and that is a danger and stuff, right? Later I'll go on to explaining, right? If you think about it, right? Right? Things like what's the word for it? Central banks, right? Printing money. These are central banks. So in a way, it borrows on the word central, centralized systems, central banks just deciding to print money, right? What's going to happen? We as a financial crisis, what shall we do? Just print some money, right? And the value of the currency drops, right? And in serious cases, your currency become worthless. Right, so that's the danger of it, and we'll be touching a little bit on that later. But importantly, the one thing that I want to kind of share with you is that cryptocurrencies focus on like a decentralized exchange where there are multiple people, like everyone controls it. Like Wikipedia is controlled by the people, right? Wikipedia is controlled by the people, and versus Britannica, which is just controlled by a single company, right? So it's very importantly, it's not controlled by a central authority. So it is theoretically immune to the government interference. I really seriously need to improve my my drawing, right? It's theoretically immune to the government's interference, and it's immune to its manipulation. So when I say manipulation, I don't mean it in just a good or bad way. Manipulation, like you've seen how China can have a floating exchange rate. They can peg their currencies, they can print more, so that their exports are cheaper. So those are kind of like currency manipulation on a small, large, or legal scale, right? But cryptocurrency, you can't do that. Debatable on some sense, right? On it might not be immune to government interference, but it might be immune to might not be fully immune to crazy to guys like Elon Musk, and giving the way it's almost being like manipulated to a certain degree, right? But as it further develops, it will build up that kind of immunity, right? But this is also one of the things that actually affects the price of Bitcoin, which is in the same way affects the price of fiat coins, fiat currencies like the euro, the dollar, the Australian dollar, right? Any news that comes out on it, can affect the price, right? But at least it's immune to like interference and manipulation. Okay. Now, we do want to touch on one important thing, which is like what exactly is Bitcoin, right? Everyone knows Bitcoin. Okay, it's like a digital currency, virtual currency. A little bit that on the surface that might seem what it is, but what if I just kind of take it one level deeper and try to let you know what exactly is Bitcoin? To me, Bitcoin is actually, it kind of changes the trust model. Okay, so follow me, right? Imagine, back in the day, right, when before currencies were created, we had little tiny gold bars, right? We got not tiny gold bars, we got gold bars, which has a value. The important thing about gold bars, right, back then is that gold bars, and one of the reasons why it's still so popular today is that it has a limited value. There's only that limited number of gold bars that can be mined in this entire world. And that is why, and there is one important distinction: it has limited value. And it's very, you can't just decide to print more gold bars, So, okay, so one of the important things is that gold bars, have limited value. But back in the day, right, guys, back in the day, we walk around and like, okay, I want to buy, I want to go for a haircut, right? I go to barber and, maybe I give you a gold coin and stuff like that. No, even before gold coins, I mean, I shave off a little bit of gold and I give him, it's like, okay, this is how many grams of gold. This is how many grams of gold I like my haircut, right? So back in the day, that was gold, we had something, we had gold, right? Then along the way, right, we decided that, the banks, the government came in and it's like, hey, I'm gonna, with that one gold bar, you can exchange it for $100. So if you think about like the real definition of fiat, if I'm not wrong, the Latin meaning behind it is that, there's, is basically, what's the word for it? Is that value is given to it, right? Meaning, right, in this case, right, the central bank, the government decides that, okay, this is $100. So you can actually take your gold and you can go into the bank and you say that, okay, instead of carrying around little gold bars and like chopping them up, a little bit hard to chop, but chopping them up so that I can buy stuff, right? Now I can just weigh the gold, right? And I can just go and exchange it for maybe $100, right? I do my shopping. Once I got $100, I can go back and I can exchange it for gold. All right. So at the core of it, it's all an issue of trust. We started off at gold and then we go to fiat currencies, right? And this day and age, fiat currencies, is owned by anyone, right? But you must think about it. Think about it very, very carefully. There's a small distinction here. Previously, we were trusting something, gold. Now we are trusting someone. Not exactly this guy, but you get what I mean, the central bank, the government, right? Previously it's gold, just mine, that there's only that fixed number of gold in the world, which you can mine up, right? But now you're trusting this guy. You're trusting the government, whether it's the US government, it's the Singapore government, Botswana government, you trust someone, right? And what is the downside of, fiat currency? What is the downside of fiat currency? If you zoom into it, right, there's one big problem, rather two big problems. Firstly, it is centralized. And who remembers our earlier example, which I was sharing with you guys on this, right? On the Britannica, centralized. When something is centralized, when something is controlled by like a central authority, which was what the Britannica wanted to do in the past, be the central authority to decide information, right? There is dangers to manipulation. There is dangers to misrepresentation. There is dangers to a lot of stuff, right? They might just say, who is Google, right? In today's 100 print of the Britannica Encyclopedia, we decided to remove Google, right? It's a fraud, because Microsoft Bing decided to pay us enough money to remove Google, right? So, it's very dangerous in that sense where, as if it's a central authority, right? Okay, I got something coming in from Janu saying that I think everyone should be able to see it too, regarding the government manipulations. What's happening this year with Bitcoin prices and also other cryptocurrencies is result of decisions of China government. They put serious restrictions on Bitcoin mining and trading in China, which seriously impact the crypto market. And that is one thing which we will touch on towards the end of the webinar on what affects the prices of cryptocurrency, right? So yeah, there are ways that, and this is not just recently, guys. If you remember, there are a lot of different news that has affected the prices of cryptocurrency. On a government level, on a company level, PayPal deciding to accept crypto, boom. Some banks deciding to allow crypto, boom. Don't worry, Janus. You're not interfering, right? I actually encourage these kind of questions along the way. It's great to see questions come through. It facilitates discussions, and that's what we want to do in this webinar, right? So yeah, your point on this kind of manipulation. This is not like so-called direct manipulation, right? If you think about it, it's not really direct manipulation. It is. There are. It's not like they're going in there. They are deploying their supercomputers and trying to take over Bitcoin, right? But they're having things that make Bitcoin harder. And this is not only for China, right? Previously, there are some countries like maybe Finland, right? Whether they welcome people to mine, or they say, hey, get out of a country, right? Your mining is it's too expensive, it's non-sustainable. All these kind of things, it kind of affects the price of Bitcoin, but it isn't exactly. If you think about it, when talking about manipulation, right? Let's just say, what can a central bank do, right? A central bank can print money, right? Can China, can the US, can anyone print Bitcoins? If you think about it, no, right? Can Google, right? Can Google print Bitcoins, right? So the interesting thing is people are asking what if the big boys Google, what if the big boys and Google decide to mine cryptocurrency, right? If you think about it, guys, when it comes to world of crypto, right, the Bitcoin, the crypto mining network, or a Bitcoin mining network, computing network, is about 10,000 times bigger than all of Google's computing network combined. So it's not much if you think about it, right? And so you kind of don't need to worry that governments are able to print print currencies. And I'm going to talk about stuff like inflation, deflation slightly later, right? But yeah, it's without deviating too much, the central authority, if you think about it over here, fiat currencies has a central authority, and the problem with that, you got a little printing machine that can print money, right? Oh, there is, if you've seen it in the US, right, it's like how much money does the US own? Anyone want to take guesses? Right? It's freaking it's so much, right? And every time they're in trouble, right? Oh, COVID has hit us. What shall we do? We are gonna print more money, right? A stimulus package, print more monies. More stimulus package, print more money, right? And the more money you put into the system, right? The more money put in the system, what happens to the money you're holding, right? The money you're holding, is worth less. It's the basic law of supply and demand. Imagine you're holding you're holding an iPhone, right? iPhones are able to, able to hold its value very well. What if one day, Apple just decides, we're gonna just, because we want everyone to have an iPhone, we're gonna just give out free iPhones, right? The price of iPhone would plummet, right? That's an extreme kind of case. But if you look at fiat currencies, that it happens so much, right? In fact, it's the building blocks of what we use to even buy iPhones and stuff, right? When you need stimulus packages, you just print money, right? And that causes the prices of the prices of cryptocurrency, the prices of fiat to decrease, right? So that's one of the downsides of fiat currencies, and it's one of the reasons why Bitcoin is so popular, because it's decentralized and it's limited. There's actually only 21 million Bitcoins that are allowed to be, what's the word for it? Allowed to be so-called printed. Okay, now importantly, some people are going to say, wait, what? Okay, not print, I mean mine, right? So you mean there's a limited amount of Bitcoins that can be mined? Yes, right. Bitcoins, it started, in 2009, the first block of Bitcoin, right? The first block of Bitcoin, where is my word? Yeah, the first block of Bitcoin, right? Will give you 50 Bitcoins. One block will give you 50 Bitcoins, right? And then, you can mine another, you can mine a total of 210,000 Bitcoins blocks, right? And you give you 50 Bitcoins each. And what happens next is that the next one, right, the 210,001, right, will give you half the number of Bitcoin. So you notice is divided by 2, right? It's divided by 2, is divided by 2. Roughly, by 2140, right? By the year 2140, we should be out of Bitcoins to mine. Right, so that's the important thing to take note of, because later I'll be showing you some of the meaning of Bitcoin mining difficulties and stuff like that, right? But yes, there is a limited number of Bitcoins that can be mined in the world. Okay, important distinction, right? And if you've ever heard of this thing called the halving, right? If you've ever heard of this thing called the halving, right? This is exactly what it means, right? Where your Bitcoins get halved. Right, from one block, from 50 it goes to 25, from 25 it goes to 15, from the 12.5 goes to 6.25, so it gets half and half and half until there's 0, right? So that's what the halving means. When you see it, this is what it means. That means one block actually gives you half the amount of Bitcoins, right? Half the reward, right? So people tend to ask, what exactly is Bitcoin mining, right? It's massive, huge servers out there, right? Massive, huge servers that are put in place to get Bitcoin, right? What I like to say, is it's not who wants to be a millionaire, but who wants to be a Bitcoin banker, right? Because important thing that you need to take note about Bitcoin: anyone can participate. Literally anyone can participate. Right, so it's like today I decided to be a Bitcoin miner. I can start trading. I can start mining Bitcoin right away. I can mine with my computer. Sometimes you can mine with your handphone, right? But yeah, you can start. There is no restrictions behind who can mine. However, how it works is that you need to guess a random number, that solves the equation generated by the system, and this guessing is done by your computer. It's not done by you. The guessing is done by your computer. Okay, so because of that, the stronger your computer, right? The stronger your computer, the more guesses per second, and hence the higher chances of winning. And I'm not sure if many of you guys, right, have ever tried to buy a computer recently, or try to buy a graphics card recently. It is so damn expensive. It's so damn expensive because so many people out there are, they are buying computers, they're buying GPUs, they're buying CPUs, they're buying all these different kind of graphics card to mine cryptocurrency, right? And when that happens, it causes it to be more expensive, right? So why is that happening? Because people want stronger computers. People want stronger computers because it helps them make more guesses per second, and it gives you a higher chance of winning. And at the core of it, cryptocurrency mining, basically, is actually meant to maintain the ledger in a decentralized manner, right? Because what actually happens when Bitcoin miner, you're a miner over here and you get it right, right? You mine, and it's like, oh, I got it right, right? I got the answer, right? You now have the right to to look at the next pending transaction. You can move it from pending transaction and kind of move it into confirmed transactions, right? Or it's like you get to go in and be a temporary banker, a temporary Bitcoin banker in the whole Bitcoin network, and you're over there and you're gonna what you're gonna do? You're gonna fill up that ledger, right? So you actually get to fill up the ledger in the Bitcoin network, right? So that's essentially what it does. So Bitcoin mining, is not just like mining and stuff like gold mining, right? A lot of it is draws parallel to mining gold because of this reason. But essentially what you're doing, right? Is you're trying to maintain the ledger in a decentralized manner, right? So remember I talked to you about the decentralized, where is it? The decentralized manner. I don't have a picture here. Never mind. Right? I don't have a picture here. But yeah, it's meant to maintain the ledger in a decentralized manner. Okay? So that's the very, very important thing that you need to take note of when it comes to Bitcoin mining. So some people will ask, with this Bitcoin mining, should I get into it, right? Should I start mining Bitcoin, right? Can I make money with mining Bitcoin? Should I stop trading? Should I start mining Bitcoin, right? So the important thing about the creator of Bitcoin is that when he created Bitcoin, he had this equation that was put into place, which is the more difficult it is to mine Bitcoin, right, the more power it kind of requires. So it is self-adjusting. It is self-adjusting, right? So the reason why Bitcoin mining in the past was a lot easier than it is now, right? Bitcoin mining in the past is a lot easier than it is now. It's where the first guys who are mining cryptocurrency, right? They can mine with maybe their laptops. They can mine with a very, very simple system, right? Just like, you're watching YouTube and on the side maybe you can mine some cryptocurrencies. It's very easy, right? But the more difficult it becomes, the more people who come in to compete, right? The more power it requires. And we just take a look over here. This is the competition you're up against now, right? Like this super powered Bitcoin mining farms, right? These are the people you're against now, right? So your little Intel, Pentium, Pentium 5, i5, i7, i9 kind of CPU. Can you use it to mine? Yeah, you can. Do you stand a chance? Probably not, right? Because these guys are getting so many more guesses in. There's so much more. Yeah, it's like the Matrix, man. Aruna is like a freaking Matrix, right? So there's so many of these around, so many Bitcoin mining farms, right? So you stand a low chance, if you use a very like consumer grade kind of mining thing, right? To compete, right? So Bartholomew is asking, is there any handout for this webinar? I don't think there's a handout, but I think this will be recorded for the YouTube series, right? So hang in there. We'll there might be I can't confirm it, right? But anyway, moving on from there is self-adjusting. So the smart thing about this, right, the super duper smart thing, right, that the Takeshi, I can't even pronounce his name, I'm so sorry, right? If you guys, anyone can spell out the supposed creator of Bitcoin, if you can spell out his name for me, that'd be great. I can't fully remember his name, but yeah, it's self-adjusting, right? And it's meant to actually create Yachimoto. Is it Yachimoto? I don't think it's Yachimoto, right? It's Takeshi something, right? Right. But essentially, it kind of creates a steady flow of Bitcoin to the system, meaning that we can't be like the central banks out there. We can't just go in and just print Bitcoins like crazy, because when you do too much of that, what happens? There's inflation, right? Do too much of that, there's inflation. So this guy is really smart, right? He was like, okay, I gotta make this the way bitcoins were mined, bitcoins were created. I need to create some kind of logic or algorithm to it that it makes it tougher to mine the more people are in it. The more people want this currency, I need to create like a self-regulating kind of equation mechanism so that people not just print the hell out of it, right? Print too much of it, super inflation. Imagine if we are so easy to print bitcoins, would it be worth a lot of money now? No, right? The very reason why it's worth so much is because it's just so damn hard to just print, to mine Bitcoin, right? So that's a very very smart thing with it. So you notice there's an inbuilt mechanism to Bitcoin that actually fights inflation. Now, isn't that so damn smart, right? I think it's pretty smart, right? So yeah, it fights inflation. So on average, over large numbers, you get a new block every 10 minutes. No matter how many people decide to mine, right? Last time, where there's a single person mining to now when there it is like a crazy number of people who are mining, right? It's roughly still about a new block every 10 minutes, right? That's the important thing to take note of, right? And because of this, right, there's a flight to strong mining equipment, right? There's a huge flight to strong mining equipment, and that's why I show the supercomputers out there. We have the CPUs, right? We have the GPUs, right? I think now we have the ASI or something, right? But there was one more, the CPUs to GPUs, and then there's one more, and now it's like it is reached a sweet spot where a lot of Bitcoin mining farm, a lot of cryptocurrency mining farms use it. Okay, crypto mining pools, right? And I'll be sharing with you a little bit on that later, right? But anyway, right? One of the big questions that you guys might have for me is, so is is Bitcoin mining going to be profitable, right? And that's one thing I want to share with you guys. That personally, if you were to ask me, I don't think it's profitable at this point of time, right? But if you want the long answer, the more detailed answer to whether cryptocurrency, Bitcoin mining is going to be profitable, these are the important things that you need to take note of, right? You need to know the hash rate, right? Whether block reward, last time your block reward was 50 Bitcoins per block. Now it is what? It is 3.5, no, less than 3.5, right? It gets half and it gets half, right? So the block reward is less, and each time you get half, it gets even lesser, right? We need to see the mining difficulty, because the more people who are in it, the more mining power that is required. The more mining power that is required, what happens? The electricity cost increases, right? Electricity cost increases, your power consumption increases. And this is legit power consumption. You can't run Bitcoin by getting a couple of hamsters to run on the wheel and generate kind of electricity and stuff. You need legit amount of power to consume it, right? And that's why that in many of the in many kind of crypto mining pools out there, right? People actually tap onto like illegal sources of power. Like maybe an employer doesn't even know that one of his guys is like tapping onto his crypto, running his own little crypto farm, until you realize that his bill is like freaking expensive, right? So that's the danger of it, right? Because power consumption and electricity cost is a big thing. So much that is actually put into the equation of the cryptocurrency profitability calculator, right? When you want to see whether you can make money. The pool fees, we need to see whether Bitcoin price, imagine if Bitcoin drops to $1, right? Or maybe $10 over, tomorrow. Would Bitcoin mining be profitable? Not so much, because, your Bitcoin will be worth so much less, right? And, along the way, the difficulty kind of increases. So these are important things to take note of when it comes to whether Bitcoin mining will be profitable, right? And of course, this is one big thing, right? If you ever want to go see whether Bitcoin mining is profitable, go search for Bitcoin profitability, Bitcoin calculator. I think it's a profitability calculator. You can put in stuff like, what's your hashing power, what's your power consumption. Go to your landlord, ask, what's my cost per kilowatt, right? And you ask whether there's any pool fees that you are, maybe you're putting together multiple people, right? Then you can see, what is your cost per day? Power is a power cost per day. Like, you obviously need to see what is the price of Bitcoin, right? And then you can see whether, is it profitable or not, right? And trust me, it's not so simple for it to be, so-called this profitable, okay? So yeah, you do notice that, you know, your cost per day can increase and decrease, right? Depending on, you know, what's your cost per kilowatt, what's your power consumption, what's your hashing power, right? There are many different things that comes into determining the cost of Bitcoin. Now, whether Bitcoin mining will be profitable at this point, there are a few things out there. There are Bitcoin mining farms, which honestly, unless you go to a really reputable ones, there are actually a lot of Ponzi schemes out there. So please be careful, right? It's like what they call it, Bitcoin mining clouds, right? Run like the wind, you know, if you actually see any of these Bitcoin mining clouds, because most of the time they're Ponzi schemes. They're multi-million dollars Ponzi schemes, right? So stay away from them. There are reputable Bitcoin mining farms which you can invest in, right? You can also pay over the top for, you know, graphics card to create your own little mining farm, right? There are different things that you can do, right? But yeah, you know, important things to take note of when it comes to Bitcoin mining. Personally, I think at this point it's not that profitable to mine Bitcoin, because if you really kind of want to make money from Bitcoin, there are different ways to do that. You know, you can actually invest in Bitcoin, you can trade Bitcoin, right? Aruna, right? Aruna is asking, you know, what about Nordic countries where they have natural resources to power electricity? You know, would it not be profitable around there? I mean, yes, it would be profitable if you think about it. Finland, you know, is one of the big popular places where people are, you know, mining Bitcoin. It's profitable, but that does not mean it is, you know, it is free money, right? I mean, there's a lot of people fleeing there, but there is still a cost to their power generation, right? You know, there is firstly the opportunity cost of using a mega what is it? Is you imagine you got a super big, you know, not say a windmill, but I say a water mill, like generating power, right? There's an opportunity cost of what if we just use this little power to power the entire town, you know, entire town instead, right? Instead of mining Bitcoin. So there's an opportunity cost there, right? Of course, electricity will always have a cost that's attached to it, right? So yeah, you know, it might have it is not necessarily more profitable, but you know, it's not necessarily definitely profitable, but it is more profitable if you go to places where electricity essentially is cheap. Wow. If you need me to slow down, just let me know, okay, guys. But anyway, let's take a look at what affects the price of Bitcoin, right? You know, when it comes to Bitcoin, there's one thing that always affects the price of Bitcoin is bad news. Bad news affects Bitcoin because bad news affects adoption. You know, adoption of Bitcoin means that people are less optimistic about Bitcoin, which is true. Most things in life, most stocks, most currencies, as long as it's bad news, you know, it gets affected. But because Bitcoin, you know, people on Bitcoin, they're always on edge, right? There are a lot of people who are always worried that, you know, if there's bad news, Bitcoin might not achieve its what's the word for it? Achieve its potential, right? And then, you know, people don't want to adopt it, and then the price drops. So you notice, I'm not sure if you guys follow it, but you know how Elon Musk one day he was like, yeah, you know, Tesla's gonna accept Bitcoin, and boom, right? Because it's good news, right? And especially good news that is tied to adoption, right? Good news that is tied to adoption. People are like, awesome, Tesla is adopting Bitcoin. That is great for us. The biggest manufacturer of EVs, right, are gonna, you know, accept Bitcoin, and hence, you know, the price increases a lot, right? But then the moment Elon Musk says like, oh shit, man, the you know, electricity is so expensive. I'm not even sure if it's sustainable. Suddenly, right, you know, the prices drop because, you know, affects the adoption. PayPal suddenly comes in good news, right? Oh yeah, we're gonna allow Bitcoin on the PayPal platform. Boom, prices go up. A bank says that's great, you know, boom, prices go up because, you know, a lot of it is linked, especially particularly to adoption, right? So the next thing, of course, is, you know, there's always a perceived value. The perceived value of Bitcoin always sways because of this, because of uncertainty, because of bad news, because it's kind of trying to jostle its way, you know, into the world of like being treated as seriously as fiat currencies, right? Many of them says, oh, you know, we have a central bank, we we have a central bank, you can trust the government who is backing your currency, right? So Bitcoin is kind of like a little bit of the outsider, right? Because jostle his way and say, hey, can you guys please take me seriously, right? So yeah, it's true that Aruna says that Elon Musk knew exactly what he was doing in Bitcoin, right? So it's a funny thing. No one can do anything to him. That is the amazing thing, right? No one can do anything to it. He's taking Bitcoin for a ride, right? Can make so much money from it, right? But of course, over time, right, as more and more people adopts it, not just maybe Elon Musk, right? But if many, it becomes as so many major figures, major countries start adopting Bitcoin, right? Then Elon Musk news won't affect it that much. They'll be like, yeah, sure, you don't want to adopt it, but Neo and all the 1,000 other big players all adopt it, so it's fine, right? But for now, because Elon Musk, for better or for worse, he he is who he is, right? So he can move the prices very well, and he can't say that for Tesla, right? His compliance department will slap him and say, hey, you're this insider trading and stuff, right? But for cryptocurrency, he's free to do that. So that's the danger of it. Okay. And it is true. Yeah. Elon Musk knew exactly what he was doing. So it's one of the other things that affects the price of Bitcoin, if you think about it, is technical analysis. More than anything else, right? Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin has a very, very, a lot of people trade using technical analysis, even more than personally, I feel it's even more than the many fiat currencies out there, the USD, the Euro, the Pound, the Aussie, right? So many people use Bitcoin, use technical analysis to trade Bitcoin. You go to any Binance, you go to any of these crypto exchanges, you load, the first thing that they show you is not, oh, okay, here is the news on Bitcoin, the latest monetary policy meeting, nothing about that. Right. The first thing they show you is a chart. The first thing they show you are indicators. The first thing I show you is, all of that stuff, right? So importantly, right, you'll notice that cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin in particular is hugely affected by technical analysis. And one thing I do want to show you, let me see if I have it over here, right, is Bitcoin. Right. So if you're following our blog, right, we did actually call the bounce very nicely, right? We call the bounce very nicely from here for Bitcoin to bounce up, right? Most people, if you zoom in too much, if you zoom into the 1 hour chart, right? If you zoom into the 1 hour chart, you might be thinking, what, Bitcoin is dropping like a rock, right? Bitcoin is dropping like a rock. Do we think it's going to rise? We're not so sure. But if you look on the 1 day chart, or even where am I? You look on the 1 day chart, right? You notice, right, that price, and this is very, very basic technical analysis, right? You notice that price actually bounce up once, bounce up twice, bounce up 3 times, bounce up 4 times, and is over here. And that is why a lot of people were bullish over here. There are a lot of people buying because price, it's not just any other level. This level, has been around since the start of the year, actually. And people it has not been able to break past this level, right? And that's why it actually bounced very nicely. And why is it slowing down over here, right? It's because if you just draw a resistance area over here, you notice, right, this is what we call an overlap resistance. I'm just going to remove my drawings a bit, but this is what I call overlap resistance, right? Meaning that price reacted off this level, it bounced off this level, it reacted, right? So this is a big area to kind of look at. There's a lot of resistance over here, and that is why you're not seeing crypto just take off as it is, right? So there are a lot of there's a lot of selling that is going on over there, right? So that's definitely one important thing to take note of, right? I'm not sure if you know it, but Bitcoin, just give me a second. Bitcoin, just let me it's at a key level over here. I know one of you guys, or some of you guys, actually asked me to do a little bit of analysis on it. Shucks, where's my? If you follow the way I do analysis quite nicely, let me just do a quick analysis on it. I do notice 38% Fibonacci retracement, very important level to take note of, right? You can see that a lot because so many people use technical analysis when it comes to trading Bitcoin. You notice how price, when price dropped down to here, it reacted very nicely off the 23%, right? And I expect it to react equally nicely over the 38% because this 38% happens to line up very nicely with this overlap resistance, right? Where price bounced off many times in the past. Okay, important thing to take note of. Okay, we can add in a little bit more Fibonacci, but you will go crazy if I do too much on that, right? In future webinars, maybe we'll touch a little bit more on advanced ways of doing Fibonacci, support and resistance, correlation, Ichimoku, trend lines. We can do all that later. Okay, but yeah, first and foremost, what affects the price of Bitcoin, right? And you notice if we draw a trend line over here, right, there's already approaching price over here. I expect there to see a lot of selling over here because people are going to be freaking out. People are going to be freaking out when price come here. People who bought here, they're very happy. They're probably going to cash out over here. Okay, we will need to see whether this big level gets broken, right? In trading, institutional trading, this is what we call upside confirmation. We need prices to close strongly above this level and strongly above this descending trend line to trigger a move upwards, right? Move to where? Maybe first to the 50% retracement, right? Then maybe to the 61.8% retracement, right? But we kind of need to wait price. Before any of that happens, we need to see the battle that is going on over here, right? So even though you might be bullish on Bitcoin, doesn't mean that you hold it forever, right? You can hold it, if you got in at a low, if you follow our block and you got in at the low and then you made money over here, right? Now is a good time to maybe cash out a bit and see what happens at this key area. If it really breaks the the descending resistance, if it really breaks the overlap resistance, right? If it breaks this level over here, then we have a high chance of price rising up. Okay, more than anything, I would say cryptocurrency follows the technical analysis a lot. So do your own technical analysis when it comes to trading cryptocurrency, right? And many of you guys might be asking, so what exchange do I recommend? Actually, right, interestingly, Tickmill, right? Tickmill allows cryptocurrency trading through CFDs. So even if you look the the Tickmill MT4, which I'm going to show you over here, right? Look the Tickmill MT4. You need to do this thing, right click and click show all, right? And you can see you scroll down all the way to the bottom. You see Litecoin, you see Ethereum, you can see Bitcoin, right? So you can actually trade Bitcoin on your Tickmill MT4, which is super useful because you don't need to worry about finding an exchange, opening a crypto wallet, which might be hacked and stuff, right? And you can actually trade it on a higher leverage, right? So do consider trading Bitcoin, especially on Tickmill. Okay. Now, in future sessions, what we'll do is we can look and monitor the prices of not only Bitcoin, but we can look at Ethereum, we can look at Litecoin, we can look at all the different kind of cryptocurrencies out there, how to navigate them, how to trade them. Personally for me, I'm heavily into technical analysis, so I can share with you how we can apply technical analysis, very very advanced technical analysis that allowed us to make to call the bounce from here all the way up to here, right? And we also called the drop from here down to here, right? So we've been following the Tickmill block, and okay, I can see where is the Tickmill block. Go to tickmill.com, head over to under client tools, head over to market insights, or you can click on technical analysis, right? So when you click on technical analysis, you get to see all the range of technical analysis that I do. You can see those that were created by me, right? Yeah, so we post a hell lot of technical analysis here on crypto and stuff like that. So go check it out, okay? But anyway, without deviating too much, right? I'm glad that you guys have we actually have really good numbers, right, for people who are staying all the way throughout the webinar, right? I do want to ask for one favor right now before I move any further, and that is, right, if you don't mind, right, if you don't mind, just launch a poll for you guys, right? Could you just give me a quick poll and let me know how do you find today's webinar? 1:5, don't worry, it's anonymous, so you can vote 1, you can vote 5, right? Don't worry, if you vote 1, I won't come and hunt you down and stuff, right? But at least let me know how you found the webinar, right? Whether you found this format useful, give me feedback, right? Because if you guys like it, we can continue doing more of these webinars over time. Whether it's a cryptocurrency trading series, a technical analysis series, fundamentals, technicals, kind of look at the whole world of trading together. But first and foremost, of course, TechMill kind of wants to know whether how do you guys find the webinar, right? So yeah, do me a favor, give me an honest opinion, and if you want to, please leave your feedback, in the chat section, right? You can say that, yeah, it sucks. I was hoping to see more crypto, or Desmond, I want to see your cat. Where is your cat, right? So just let me know, and I'll find ways. What's the word for it, to improve the webinar over time. Okay, but thank you very much, because I do see that almost more than 90% of you guys are saying that the webinar, you give it a good 4 to 5. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Right? Yeah, it's I'll more or less live and die by these numbers. Right? So you've been very merciful. Thank you. Thank you. Right. So yeah, I'm going to end the poll right now. Right. I'm going to end the poll right now. Right. Because we got a majority of people who have voted. Thank you very much for voting. Right. I can see 90% of you guys who voted 4 and 5. Once again, thank you very much. Right. And yeah, if anything, please let me know. Right. When it comes to where is the thing I'm going to show? Yeah. If anything, thank you very much for tuning in to this webinar all the way. Right. Yeah, tuning into this webinar all the way. I can see that a good bunch of you stayed through all the way, right? I'm accepting questions along the way right now. So if you have questions that you want to kind of shoot out at me, now's a great time, right? Walter is sharing that is hoping to learn more how to enter good trades, right? That can come in on our technical analysis series, right? Where we really drill down into the whole world of support and resistance, Fibonacci, retracements, extensions, projections, expansions, correlations, oscillators, divergence, and chart patterns, right? Hopefully, now that we covered the basics, the cryptocurrency, we can, those are some things that we can look at, right, in the future. But thank you. Walter asking, do robots help? When it comes to trading robots, right, I recommend you to exercise caution. Some robots are not designed to trade cryptocurrencies, right? They might not be used to the same volatility, the crazy amount of volatility that crypto has. Versus Forex, robots do help, but you got to do your own back testing first, right? If you know how to personally, there's a whole nother topic on back testing, but right off the top of my head, if you want to do robots, right, try to go for MT5. MT5 allows you to use tick by tick back testing, right? Allows you to have a multi-core, multi-threaded back testing kind of system, so you can utilize more of your computer CPU power to do back testing, right? So if you want to use robots, first and foremost, back test, forward test with what? With MT5. You can do it MT4, but it's going to be a lot slower because MT4 can only utilize a single thread. Okay, I hope that answers your questions, Walter. Right, but yeah, with the I cannot say which robots will help. Some robots can definitely trade well, but you do need to make sure you backtest thoroughly with real data, not with fake data. Right, your testing quality needs to be very high. Yeah, I can see Jalu saying that there should be more webinars like this presenting difference between various cryptocurrencies and their correlations. How value of Bitcoin affects value of other cryptocurrencies. And all right, looking for more webinars, right? So awesome, right? Today is happens to be the very first webinar that we're doing for cryptocurrencies for TechMill. It's nice to see that there's a very, very good response. People like it, right? And I really appreciate it, right? So hopefully, how I like to always design these webinars is I like to take the feedback from you guys, right? And design the webinar accordingly, right? So if you want, if I find that there's a lot of people who want to know the correlation between Bitcoin prices, and for example, I can just pull it up really quickly here. For example, Bitcoin, you want to compare the price of Bitcoin to ETH USD, right? On the same percentage scale, right? So there you go. You can see the prices of the correlation of Bitcoin, with maybe in this example with Ethereum, right? So this was a very interesting time over here where Bitcoin rose a bit, but Ethereum kind of shot up, right? But you do notice that they kind of go up and down together, right? There are many tools that can use to really correlate the price of Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the market leader, so it does dictate a lot of prices along the way, right? But yes, yeah, hopefully over time we can look at the more exotic stuff, Dogecoin even, right? And how to trade it, right? But yeah, thanks for your feedback, Janus. Thanks for your feedback, Walter and Aruna, right? But yeah, any other questions that if there are no other questions rather that you have for me, I'd like to thank everyone. I'd like to thank everyone for tuning in today, for sitting through the entire webinar. The attendance and the attention rate has been great. So thank you very much, right? I hope that this webinar helped you better understand the whole world of crypto, right? And if any questions, feel free to send it through. Take Meal, right? The support, I do a lot of the analysis there, so you will, one way or another, the messages will come back to me. Okay. Anyway, guys, that's it for me, right? Thank you so much for tuning into this webinar. Please, trade safe, stay safe, and yeah, I'm looking very young. Thank you. Yeah, I have no idea why. Maybe I got enough sleep this morning. My cat allowed me to get a little bit more sleep. All right, guys. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for tuning in to Bartholomew, right? And thank you very much, Andrew, right? That's it for me. Yeah, even wearing red today, man. All right. Okay, see you guys. Cheers and peace out, guys. Peace out.